Great to see everybody here. I'm Jenny Rooney. I'm the editor of the CMO Network at Forbes, and I'm thrilled to be up here with Becky Lynch. This is actually our second time sitting with you. And I'm thrilled to have this conversation with you because you are literally a superstar in every way. So we're so excited. Start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and everything that you've accomplished and sort of where you sit right now in the landscape of WWE.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with WWE or what I do, or who I am, but I call myself the man, Becky Lynch, and that name might sound a little bit controversial. I see a lot of women in here. Oh, why would you call yourself the woman? So, in my sport, in every avenue, the person, the top dog, is usually referred to as the man, right? And I can't change the English language to mean that the top person is the woman. So I said, all right, well, I'm the top person in WWE right now. I'm going to start calling myself the man. And for me, that wasn't a way to negate female empowerment. That was a way to say, no, sorry guys, I'm the top dog, I'm the man, I'm taking your name and I'm taking your spot.
And in fact, that's incredible. And that's exactly what we want to talk about, because obviously sometimes changing the game and striking that balance in the workplace, gender balance, requires upending stereotypes. And you've literally done that by adopting basically the male narrative.
Yeah, well, the whole thing that I wanted wasn't, it was equality of opportunity, right? Not essentially equality of outcome. I wanted to work for everything. I wanted the audience to know that I was in my spot because they put me there, because they were entertained, because they chose it, and not based on whether I was female or male, but just based on, let me be really good at my job. And my job is to tell stories. That's what we do in WWE. We tell stories, we put smiles on people's faces. Storytelling is how we get anything across, right? It's how we have a society. We're all based on the story of morals and human rights, and it's how we function. So let me bond everybody around this story of me being the man.
So let's back it up a little bit, because a long story of your own has happened, obviously, for you to get here. Talk a little bit about who you were as a child. Bring us back. Who's Becky Lynch? Talk about growing up in Ireland, and tell us a little bit about your back narrative.
So, growing up as a little kid, I was a little chubby kid. I failed PE. I was bullied a lot, and around 15. I decided that I was sick of that position. I was sick of being picked on. I was sick of failing, and I wanted to turn my life around. And so I said, after failing PE, that was probably a good place to start, fitness, right? And so I was unconventional. I didn't want to do the standard, go to the gym, go on a treadmill, and I was a big wrestling fan. So I found out that they were opening the first ever wrestling school in Ireland. And so, I love that. I love wrestling. Let me go along to that. So I went along, and I go into this school hall, and I'm expecting to see a wrestling ring and a bunch of, jacked athletes. I go in, I open the door, there's nothing but skinny teenagers all trying to grow their hair out. I'm the only girl. And there's 6 blue padded mats, no wrestling ring. And that was how I learned to wrestle. And I was terrible. I was just, when I say I was bad, I was abysmal. But I loved it. It was suddenly, for the first time in my life, I had a drive. I wanted to be good at something. I never felt that. I never experienced what it's like to have to bring a passion to something.
Did you have role models? Did you have people who showed you that was possible, or was this all motivated from within?
Well, certainly I had no one to look at from where I was from to say, I'll be a wrestler. There was no Irish superstars. Well, I think he was in WCW, but I didn't watch WCW.
Parallels, other sports stars, or there are other women or men in your life that were sort of motivating you and supporting you and saying, this is actually a possibility.
So my brother started wrestling at the same time as me. Actually, he didn't want me tagging along. He didn't want his little sister, so I had to go around with I told my dad to drive me down while he got the bus. Sucker. And I showed up. He was so mad. But once he saw that I was dedicated, because he was good. He's one of those people who's naturally good at everything, anything. I unfortunately did not get those genes. So when he saw that I was dedicated, he really helped me. And then at the time there were so many wrestlers that I loved, like Mick Foley and The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dean Malenko and all these people that I tried to model my style after. In terms of females at the time, Lita was she was kind of a tomboy. She was spunky, and she was probably the person that I related to the most. But I think that was about it.
So a lot of it was self-confidence, a lot of it was your drive and your ability to find that passion within yourself to want to pursue this. At what point, though, did you realize that, you started recognizing, and this probably happens for all superstars, is figuring out what your personal brand is, right? What defines you? And there's Becky Lynch, and then certainly the man came along. At what point did you realize that needed to be your platform? What had happened in your life that enabled that?
What a work in progress finding that niche is, right? I think it's so much trial and error. Because I started, again, if you don't know anything about wrestling, I started off doing an Irish jig. And not a good one. I wasn't doing the river dance. I was doing an Irish jig. But I just throwing darts at the ball. Just what's gonna hit? It was not that. Don't Google it. Do yourself a favor. Don't Google it. But so that was how I started. And then when I came, and then I was just, let me try this. Okay, does this work? No, that doesn't work. Let me try this. Let me be a rocker chick who headbangs. And after 2 headbanging sessions where I nearly tore my neck off, it's like, okay, maybe it's not that. And then I kept going, and then I had a steampunk gimmick. If anybody knows anything about steampunk, it's a pretty cool look. But what's the personality? What's the story? What's the message behind that? And it was just constantly trying and failing, and eventually there was we had this big pay-per-view called SummerSlam in 2018, and I was supposed to turn heel, turn into the bad guy, and I'd been working towards this title opportunity, right, for this bad boy. And people were so excited to see me in that spot, because I'd always been the underdog. I was always the one that was losing, always almost there, but never quite there. And so this match, my best friend at the time, she beat me to win the championship. And after it, I stood up and I slapped the head off her. And the crowd went crazy. They were just so happy to see that finally this underdog, this person who'd been losing, had just said, enough's enough. I'm tired of being overlooked. I'm not taking this anymore. And I think everybody can relate to that story. Everybody's had that person who's probably naturally good at things, gets things easy. They're athletic, they're tall, they're beautiful. And then there's just, the one that they try hard, but my God, he's just never quite making it. So people really rallied behind that.
They were invested. They were. In fact, your win was theirs. I mean, at that point.
Yeah, and I think, that was what made me. It was that relationship with the audience, was that bond with them, and them pushing me, and them making so much noise that people couldn't deny it anymore. They were like, okay, she's got something here. And so then it just progressed from there. I was able to get more opportunities to talk. And when you're able to talk, when you're able to get your voice out there, that's when you can connect with your audience the most. Once people know the message, once they know why they're rooting for you, and once they know about your brand, and then what I think as well with branding, right? If we want to talk about that. Sometimes you've got to throw your stuff out there, throw out some darts, whether it's a jig or whatever, but then you have to let the people brand you, right? Like, so I put out a post saying I am the man, but then it was the people. They all showed up the next week on Raw with signs and everything like that, and it was really the people that pushed me in, and then I feel like people bond around that community a bit more when they feel like they've had a part of that. So that was part of the
journey. So let's talk about the reception to your calling yourself the man. I mean, I'm sure there was probably some negative response. And
Very
how did
little.
you handle very little?
Very little, shockingly.
So talk about that. What was the feedback you were getting?
I think some people in the company were like, I don't get it, but it works. and then there was a little bit like, oh, why isn't she calling herself the woman? But that's whatever. It negates female empowerment. But I think once I explained, no, we're taking over here, ladies. I think that's what really helped.
So why do you think it's so important that women embrace masculine leadership qualities?
Look, I think we gotta balance it all, right? And because we're yin and yang, right? We're not just one thing, and we're all playing different roles all throughout our life, all throughout the day. Throughout the day, we're a million different things, especially women, right? Because we're going to work, and then maybe we're mothers, and we have to manage a household. I think you just gotta dance with those masculine and female energies, and and just do great work.
It seems as though at some point you recognize, your visibility, you said your voice, and your influence, right? That takes a while to garner, but then once you've amassed that, that's when you need to use that for purpose. What advice would you give to other folks who are trying to figure out, what is that inflection point? Like, where do people need to be in their journeys such that they recognize they do have a platform that they can use towards helping to affect change, upending the status quo? Thoughts about that?
Yeah. Gosh,
When did it happen? Like, when was that moment? Do you remember that moment where you woke up and you're like, okay, I got this. Now I'm gonna use this.
I think that's a process, right? I think we're always working towards that. I think it's being clear in your own head about what your message is. And then once you know what your message is, or what your purpose is, really actually, what your purpose is, to go out there and just start making the steps and taking them, and whether it's one small one, as long as you keep going, as long as you keep progressing, you're going to get there eventually. I think my thing was always, I never really looked at gender, right? I never said, oh, there's no reason because I'm a female that I can't main event WrestleMania, or I can't be the biggest merch seller in WWE, or I can't do any of those things. I just need to be interesting, regardless of my gender. And I think that's what it comes down to, is just knowing that it's got nothing to do with anything other than how good you can do your job. And then keep that in focus. And of course there's going to be barriers. There's always going to be barriers, and there's always going to be hurdles that you have to jump over. But if you can keep that end goal in mind and keep working towards it, and doing the little steps, and looking at it as a game of chess, right? How do I maneuver these pieces so that I can get to where I want? And then just stay true to that.
What do you think you do what's an example of something you do that you feel is a masculine leadership quality?
I don't know I don't know what a masculine leadership quality is, or what a female leadership quality is. I think women, we're naturally good leaders. Gosh damn, we've led households for years, since the dawn of time. I think, I don't know. I don't know what's a masculine quality and what's a feminine quality. All I know is that I want to be the absolute best in my business, and I go out there. One thing that I looked at, and this is just in terms of wrestling, was that my industry has been so male dominated for so many years. But recently we've had this women's revolution, this women's evolution, and it was all very supportive, which is wonderful, right? Women supporting women is great. But what I did was kind of take a step back, and for the audience, I just started, how can I make conflict with all of these women? Because that's what our industry is. It's the fighting industry. We need conflict. You need to know why I don't like this woman. And yeah, it's all supportive, all that, blah, 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 blah. But the guys aren't sitting back there supporting each other. They're all trying to knock each other off the spot. Let me give all these other women that equal opportunity to get knocked off and be taken over by the man. So that was something that I did. So maybe that's a masculine quality, because we're very compassionate and stuff. But I put that to the side and started being a little bit more vicious.
Vicious, I love that. Yeah.
Well, it's all for show.
Absolutely.
Or is it?
You seem very comfortable in this. You know, strong brands are all about authenticity. So clearly, I mean, this suits you. You know, having gone through all those different iterations that you described, I mean, this is who you are.
And that's one of the things is that you keep trying different characters. The one that sticks is the one that's true to yourself. Because people know what's genuine, people know what's not. And they can feel it, and sometimes they don't even know why it is something isn't resonating with them, but they have that intuition. Yeah.
Talk a little bit about just your growth and the platforms and the technologies that you feel have been so valuable to you in really shooting your star.
Yeah. So another thing was I looked at all the different social media platforms, and we get maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes a week to tell our story. But I was like, I have a live microphone in my hands 24/7. So I really used that to brand myself, to keep my message going, to keep the story going. Because look, there's so much content nowadays, and it's how do you stand out? And at the time, I was the underdog. I had to punch my way up, and I wanted more than anything to main event WrestleMania. 1, to prove that it could be done. 2, to prove to myself that I could do it, because that's my lifelong goal. It had never been done before in 35 years. And but 3, I wanted it to not be a token gesture, not a corporate gesture, not, oh look, the women are main eventing WrestleMania. No, I wanted it to be because the audience wanted it, because they were so invested in this storyline that nobody else could do it. And so I really used Twitter to use that message and almost use it as a political campaign, to kind of campaign my way into the main event of WrestleMania, and it worked. And so people started following along, and I was vicious, and then that became my thing. Is that like if anybody tried to get into a war of words with me, I would destroy them. I would destroy them, and so eventually I figured out that if you do that too much, it gets very quiet. so I had to taper it back a little bit, and sprinkle it in when it's appropriate. But yeah, so that was what I used was just how can I tell my story, and how can I stand out? How can I be more entertaining? How can I be different? What's everybody else doing? Okay, everybody's taking a lot of selfies. Let me not take any selfies. Nobody needs to see my face, or at least not that close up. So I would just kind of go, okay, well, let me just be the man. They don't need to see Rebecca Quinn. That's my real name. They need to see Becky Lynch. They need to see the man, and they need to know why they want the man to win.
It's funny. I got swept up in your Twitterverse when I moderated the panel with you before, and suddenly I had like 5 billion new followers. My name was in the tweets with the man's, so that was a wholly new experience for me. Obviously you're admired so much for how you've responded to adversity. suggestions for other women, you know, as far as the resilience that you think women leaders need today. Talk a little bit about that, how it's manifested for you, and what advice you give to others as far as this concept of resilience, which, by the way, is a word I've heard come up a lot this week and last week. It feels like 2020 is the year of resilience. So.
Yeah, resilience is a great word. Relentlessness as well is another one that I think that I've put in my back pocket. It's because look, a lot of the time when we're trying for great things, especially, I know it's 2020, but still some of those paths haven't been carved, right? We have to carve our own paths. You're going to constantly come up against people that are saying no, that are telling you, oh no, that's never been done before, or this is a man's job. Look, when I started wrestling, but when I came to WWE in 2014, I was told, can you move more like a girl? I was like, wait. I'm a girl and I'm moving. What does that even mean? So, you know, there's constantly things. And even when I said, I want to make event WrestleMania, one of my good friends said, it's nice to have dreams, be realistic. So you're always going to go against those. And then sometimes it seeps into your own head. And you get those doubts and you go, oh, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I can't. But that's just human, and that's just, everybody has that. And I think you always have to constantly battle those outside voices and the inside. Sometimes I feel like I'm Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, you know, just like trying to slash and on the inside of my head too, you know. But you just got to keep working, got to keep being resilient, got to keep being relentless in those pursuits, whatever they are.
Following on that, any advice you'd give to people who feel like they might be constrained by, you know, established norms within their organizations, companies, or communities, and, you know, how would you suggest they begin breaking down barriers?
To hell with them. And one, and then two, be undeniable, right? That's sometimes, unfortunately, we have to be just almost. We can't leave any room for fallibility, right? Am I using one correctly? Yes. We can't, because sometimes we have to be just, if it's a guy, and there's an error here, an error there, it's kind of passed over. But if sometimes we let it slip a little bit, that gets it gets poked at a lot more. Like, I know that oftentimes I feel like I have the weight of a gender on my back. Like a guy, a million guys have had terrible main event matches. If I have a subpar main event match, the question comes up, should women be main eventing? And that's a load of crap, to be honest with you, right? Like, we all have off days, we all go out there, but we're all trying to be the absolute best. And unfortunately, we always have to be constantly on our game until that's not a question anymore. So we're in the position right now where we have to be extra, we have to work harder constantly so that the future generations don't have to deal with that anymore. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it's a little bit the way it is, and it's not good, it's not right, but it's what we have to do. But it's a mission that I take on my back, because I don't want this to be a question in the future. I don't want there to be a reason that because of your gender, because of your race, because of anything else, because of your background, you can't do whatever it is that you want to do, that you can't main event WrestleMania, that you can't be the head, the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, whatever it is. Like, those barriers, come on, it's 2020, those barriers should be gone by now. Right? So the next thing that I have in the front of my brain is I want to get rid of the term women's wrestling, right? Like, because for anybody who's a WWE fan or a wrestling fan, I think that way of thinking can often then leave, we go, oh, we've already seen the women. We've already seen the women's segment. And wait, no, why should there only be 1 or 2 women's segments? Why can't there be 10 and 2 guys segments? You know what I mean? And so I want that scrapped. It's wrestling. We're wrestling, I'm wrestling, you're wrestling, he's wrestling, she's wrestling, we're all just wrestling. Let's get rid of the wrestling, the women's wrestling part of it. It's just wrestling. And us women are pretty freaking good at it.
Thank you so much for everything you're doing for women, for young girls who admire you and look up to you, and for the community. And thanks from everybody here for sharing your words of inspiration with us. Good luck to you. Everybody follow the man. He's got an incredible account. So thank you so much.